There is a weight that almost no one sees, but almost every parent carries. It does not show up on medical exams. It does not have a clear number. Yet it sits on shoulders, tightens chests, and fills rooms before any word is spoken. It is the invisible weight of being responsible, of holding a family together, of trying not to repeat what once hurt so much. Most people imagine parenting as a list of actions. What to say, how to respond, which rule to use, which consequence to give. But long before any words come out of a mouth, something else is already speaking. It is the nervous system of the adult. It is the history that the adult brings into the room. Some parents carry the weight of constant worry, always scanning for what can go wrong, always half prepared for disaster. On the outside, this might look like being organized, careful, involved. On the inside, it can feel like never resting. The mind never fully sits down. Even in quiet moments, the body is ready to jump. Other parents carry the weight of never having been safe themselves. They grew up in homes where love was mixed with fear, where moods changed without warning, where anger or silence could appear like a storm out of nowhere. Their bodies learned that home is not automatically a safe place. Home is something that can break open at any moment. There are also parents who carry the weight of perfection. They learned that mistakes were not allowed, that love was given when they performed, achieved, impressed. Now, as adults, they try to be the perfect parent in the same way they once tried to be the perfect child. They read, they study, they watch, they plan. And inside, a hard voice whispers, if you fail here, everyone will see who you really are. And then, inside this world of invisible weights, a small child walks in. A child who does not know this history. A child whose body is soft, whose nervous system is still learning what is safe and what is dangerous. A child who does not read books on parenting, but reads faces, tones, and the air in a room. Before a child understands words, the child understands tension, the pulse of the adult's voice, the speed of footsteps, the way a hand closes around a cup, the length of a pause before an answer. For a small nervous system, the adult is the weather. If the adult feels like a storm, even if they smile, the child's body senses clouds. Intergenerational transmission of anxiety is a long phrase for a simple truth. What is not healed in one generation is often handed, silently, to the next, not as a punishment, not as a curse, simply as an unfinished story looking for an ending. A parent who was once a child always on alert will naturally raise children in an atmosphere of alertness, unless something shifts. A parent who learned to cope by shutting down feelings will, without noticing, teach their child that strong emotions are dangerous or that they must be hidden. A parent who was shamed for their needs may unintentionally shame their child for having needs too. This does not happen because parents do not love. Very often, it happens precisely because they love so much and are so afraid of getting it wrong. The invisible weight every parent carries is not just stress from bills or work or lack of sleep. It is also the weight of old vows and old fears. Promises like, I will never be like my mother, or I will give my child everything I did not have. Fears like, if my child struggles, it means I have failed, or if I am not always strong, everything will collapse. Children feel these vows and fears in ways they cannot name. They feel it when a small mistake creates a huge reaction. They feel it when a simple question meets a sharp answer. They feel it when the adult's eyes are present, but the mind is somewhere far away, replaying old scenes that the child was never part of. Sometimes, a child does something totally normal. They spill milk. They forget homework. They cry because a toy broke. On its own, this is a tiny event. But if the adult's invisible weight is already heavy, worry about money, fear of being judged, old memories of being yelled at for similar things, the reaction may not match the size of the event. The child's small action hits a large wound. The adult might snap, "Why would you do that?" Or again, or simply go very quiet, with a cold tone. The child feels a wave of something big, but does not know where it came from. The body of the child only knows, I caused this. Something dangerous just happened, and I am at the center of it. Over time, patterns form. A parent who carries a lot of anxiety might have a child who becomes extra careful, extra obedient, always trying not to add more pressure. Or the child might go in the opposite direction, acting out, trying to break the invisible tension by making it visible. One sibling might become the easy one, carrying the adult's wish for peace, while another becomes the difficult one, carrying the adult's unspoken chaos. The child is not the only one shaped by this dance. The parent is too. Many parents feel deep confusion. Why do I react so strongly to small things? Why does this particular behavior of my child feel like an attack, even when I know it is not? The answer is often found not in the present moment alone, but in what the present moment wakes up from the past. If a child slams a door, the sound is not just a current noise. It might echo another door slammed years ago in a different house during a different fight. If a child rolls their eyes, that small gesture might light up an old memory of being disrespected or powerless. The nervous system reacts not only to what is in front of it, but to layers of history underneath. Seeing this clearly can feel heavy at first. It can sound like another accusation. You are repeating the past. You are damaging your child. That is not the purpose here. The purpose is to name something that is happening anyway, so it can become conscious and therefore changeable. The invisible weight every parent carries is not a sentence. It is a starting point. Attachment theory suggests that what heals is not perfection, but repair. Not a life without mistakes, but a pattern where mistakes are followed by understanding, naming, and trying again. This is as true between adults and children as it is between adults and their own past. Imagine a parent noticing, after the fact, that the reaction to a small behavior was much bigger than needed. Maybe the voice was too sharp. Maybe silence became too long. Maybe the face went cold. In that moment, a choice appears. The old pattern says, ignore it. Move on. Pretend it didn't happen. The child will forget. Or, blame the child. They should know better. They caused this. A new pattern can say something else. There was more weight in that reaction than this moment alone. Some of it came from me, not from this child. From that recognition, a simple but powerful step can follow. The adult can return later, when everyone is calmer, and say something like, earlier, there was a lot of stress in my body. You did something small, and I reacted in a big way. That big part was mine. I am sorry you had to feel all of it. For a child, hearing that does not erase the moment, but it changes the meaning. The child's nervous system learns, not everything that explodes around me is my fault. Adults have their own storms too. This reduces the load of shame and confusion the child carries into their own future. The same movement can happen inside the adult, towards their own younger self. The part that once walked on eggshells. The part that tried to be perfect. The part that learned to stay quiet to survive. When that part gets triggered by parenting, instead of pushing it away with more pressure, why am I like this? I need to get over it. The adult can try a different response. It might be as simple as a sentence, said quietly in the mind. Of course this feels so big. You had to handle so much alone back then. No wonder you are tense now. This is not self-pity. It is recognition. And recognition is the opposite of abandonment. The intergenerational chain of anxiety often breaks not because people suddenly stop being anxious, but because someone in the line decides to stop pretending nothing is wrong. Someone decides to name what is happening, to feel their own reactions, and to take small steps in a new direction. What does that look like in practical terms? It can look like a parent taking 30 seconds in the bathroom to notice their own body before responding to a child. Is my chest tight? Is my jaw clenched? Am I mainly reacting to this moment, or to 10 other things today? It can look like delaying a big conversation until the invisible weight has softened, instead of forcing a teachable moment while both bodies are on fire. It can look like saying out loud to a partner, friend, or journal, parenting is waking up parts of me I did not know were still hurting. To put that into words is to stop it from being only a silent pressure inside the body. It can look like seeking help, not because the parent is broken, but because the weight is heavy and sharing it is a sign of responsibility, not failure. A therapist, a support group, a wise friend, even honest educational content can become places where the story is retold with more compassion. Children are extremely sensitive to whether adults are pretending or present. They do not need parents with no weight. They need parents who are willing to see their own weight and not hide it behind the child. Sometimes, the most powerful moment in a home is when a parent says, "Today, I am more tired and stressed than I wish I were." I might be quicker to get upset. If that happens, it is not because you are too much. It is because my day is heavy. I will try not to put all of it on you. A sentence like this does not make the adult perfect. It makes the environment more honest. Over the years, a child who grows up around this kind of honesty learns something precious. They learn that adults are human, not gods. They learn that feelings can be strong and still be named. They learn that mistakes can be talked about, not buried. They learn that they are not responsible for every mood in the room. That child will still carry some of the invisible patterns of the generations before. No one escapes entirely, but the weight will be lighter. It will be carried with more awareness, more language, more choice. The invisible weight every parent carries is real. It shapes tone of voice, timing, posture, rules, and reactions. It shapes how a child's body learns to respond to stress. But once seen, it does not have to rule. Every time an adult pauses before reacting, every time they repair after a hard moment, every time they speak kindly to the parts of themselves that were never comforted, a new pattern is quietly born. A pattern where anxiety is not denied, but also not driving everything from the shadows. If there is a wish to keep exploring these unseen layers between adult burdens and children's behavior, this space is here for that. New episodes look beneath the surface of normal family life to find the old stories still moving in the background, so that they can be met instead of repeated. If this message resonates, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video, so it can reach another home where the weight feels unbearable and unspeakable. And if there is a story or question about the invisible weight in a parent's life, leaving it in the comments can turn that quiet struggle into a map for future episodes, so that no one has to hold all of this completely alone.